Hi, this is Kellie Nightlinger with Wild Woman Outdoors here at a typical logging sale in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. This area right here has already been harvested by the timber processor, and I'll pan over here and show you a typical logging sale in the state of Michigan, and in this case in the Upper Peninsula. So what they do is they sort logs to different size, typically 8-foot lengths unless there's different specs that are put onto the job. And the filming will be a little bumpy here, sorry about that. We're gonna go down this road. This is a logging road. It's basically a road through the swamp, and they will remove the upper layer of snow because it's an insulator, and then it will cause it to freeze on a cold night, and then they drive over it repeatedly, which freezes it down hard. To my right is a pile of birch. This is all birch here. So you can see they've got quite a bit of birch. There's some birch on my left, some bambogelia that we passed, and there's some maple. Try to point out some of the different woods as we drive by. Right here's some spruce. That's spruce. And after living up here for a while, you learn to identify the logs just by looking at the bark and the tree itself. Some more spruce in the first pile. Now up ahead on my left, right where I'm passing, is birch on my left and balsam on my right. This is balsam over here. Got some big oversized logs, and we're driving now up to another skidder. I'll show you what a skidder looks like. Actually, I misspoke. Let's see what this is when I get up a little closer. Oh, okay. This is a smaller harvester. I haven't seen one quite like this. What happens is they'll hook the log in the claws that are attached to this long boom. The long boom will then maneuver the log in such a way, it's also got saw blades on it, and they will pick it up and saw it to length, 8-foot lengths by that machine. So usually they're talking about a processor. This is a type of processor. It's called a Valmet, and you can see the big chains on the wheels, which work really well in the snow. So this area here beyond me has been logged. For a lot of people, they think of logging as a negative practice on the environment. That is true if it's done in a non-sustainable way, such as in the rainforest where the trees take a long time to reforest. But actually, in Michigan, logging practices, when done properly, greatly improve the habitat for the wildlife in this area. What will most likely happen in this area if I were to film it in a couple of years? You would see within a year small little shoots come up out of the ground where the trees are reforesting themselves, and those little shoots are excellent forage for animals such as white-tailed deer, rabbits, a lot of other small game. Ruffed grouse love to feed on those small little buds, and they will sustain themselves much better when sustainable logging practices have been used to selectively deforest an area. You can see this isn't considered a complete clear cut. Every job is different. The wildlife biologists come in, and also the foresters. They determine for the given habitat of an area what trees should be cut and what trees should be left. Often the distance through these trees that are up close, you can see there's more of a swampy area. The trees that are up close look like tamarack and some spruce, and so they've left some of that for a particular reason in this particular area. Some jobs, they'll have you cut certain kinds of trees and leave others. It just depends on what's best for that habitat in that particular area. So I'll just pan this along here, and I'll show you a little bit more of this bumpy logging road as we travel along. I'm not going to try to make you too dizzy, but I just want you to get a feel for it, because these bumps are what I'm feeling as I'm driving. So this is a trail that's considered a logging road during the logging practice, However, it's typically closed off at some point to only foot traffic, and unless it's a major road used to haul lots of logging sales out of. Actually, there'll be semis come in here, and they will pick up the logs in giant semis and take the wood out on this particular road. So they use these frozen roads and sometimes ice roads to remove the wood, just like you see on ice road truckers. That same type of technique is used sometimes on ice here. So I just wanted to give you a feel for what it's like in this area. Off to my right, let's see, trying to figure out, looks like there's some, oh, that's it had, actually I'll back up and try to show you that. We have a couple diseases here in Michigan. One is the emerald ash borer, which affects ash trees, and the other is it's kind of like, without being a biologist, like a fungus that will attack beech trees, and it's called beech bark disease. And somewhere here I saw a glimpse of that. Oh, right here. So I'll zoom in on this and show you what beech bark disease looks like. You see that white pithy looking substance on the outside of the bark? That's actually the disease itself, and those trees were dead standing, which means that the disease killed the trees. They'll still be standing for a while until the wind blows them over, and then at that point they actually become very dangerous. So that's an easy way to identify the beech trees that are ridden with disease. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about sustainable forestry. Logging gets a bad rap, and I have no ties to logging, so I'm not saying this because I have some personal vested interest in it or anything like that. There's some maple there. Off to my left, there's a bunch of maple, and I'll show you a little bit more. Oh, actually, looks like maybe an illegal tree stand here. It's another thing that we look out for here. It actually can cause problems for the loggers too, because sometimes these are put into trees and it'll make like nails and things will wreak havoc on the very expensive equipment that you saw back there. And as far as sustainable forestry, within just a few years, believe it or not, the forest will regenerate at such a tremendous rate. It's actually shocking. And so it's not like down in the Amazon where you think of forest deforestation, which causes extreme havoc on the habitats. And anytime there's a specialized animal or creature or plant life in a particular area, they actually will not allow there to be a logging sale in that area. So all those things are checked for ahead of time, and these trees in this particular area can be used in a plethora of ways, and oftentimes in our area they're sent to either paper mills, sometimes small shingle mills, and also to OSB plants like Louisiana Pacific, for example, places that make press board that you'll put up in your houses to help build homes and new areas. A lot of our wood is actually shipped to Canada via rail, so there's a lot of big piles of lumber along the rail yards of the Upper Peninsula. So that's just a short little snippet. Again, if you have any more questions about sustainable forestry product or projects, you can feel free to contact me or look up sustainable forestry in your region. And there's a lot of information out there. It gets a bad rap and it's really unjust. So hope you enjoyed this and hopefully you learned something. Take care.